Yes, hi, Avi. Hi out there. It's Rebecca from Sundragon Art and Fiber, and welcome to another edition of Sundragon Tips and Tricks. Today we're going over some super basic stuff about crochet. So for all you knitters who've wanted to learn to crochet and others who are just getting into the fiber arts, we're going to go over some basics of what is going on with a hook and how to start doing a chain. I'm going to break this up into several steps. We'll do a chain, and the next time I have a chance to make a beginning video, we'll do single crochet, which involves the first row and the second row and every row after it that are different. And then we'll make double crochet rows, and after that, the sky is the limit. I've got some more advanced videos I've already put up, but for now, thank you for your patience while we get some videos out. So, learning about the hook and how to chain, let's go. For beginning crocheters, let's just talk about what we have when we're looking at a hook. We have, for a crochet hook, we have the hook end itself. And even though I am left-handed, I still hold it in my right hand, just as you see it, with the hook facing me. Another important part of a lot of crochet hooks, especially the ones I'd recommend you start with, I call this the thumb divot. There are a couple different ways to hold your hook. Either way, if you're holding it from on top or if you're holding it from underneath, kind of like a pencil, your thumb goes there. Thumb. Ta-da! Then in between, hi Avi, I hear you down there. I call this the workspace. This is where... Are you kidding me, cat? Okay. This is where, when you have one loop left, or when you want things to get looser, if they get tight, take it back to the workspace. It is the circular area between the hook and the thumb divot, and it will save you. If things get jammed in here, see how I shaded that? It's tighter there. So if things get caught up in here, they will get tight. When in doubt, back stuff up here, especially if it's not something that needs to be caught in the hook, and go through. Now, to begin crocheting, the first thing you need to do is to get a slip knot onto the workspace right here. I will go over how to do a slip knot when I have the yarn in the hook. You will have two pieces of yarn hanging down from the slip knot, which is essentially a loop with a little knot at the bottom of it. One will be your tail, and one will be what goes to the ball of yarn. This is the side we're going to have to get some tension set up on, which is not so easy to draw. I may try, we'll see. But what is essential to crochet, what you've got to do right from the start and is used in almost every single stitch, is something called a yarn over. And it is often abbreviated YO. Now that is taking this yarn and coming up over the back of your hook and down. Always over the back, always over the back. Yarn over the hook. When you do that, it will get caught in the hook, and then you will pull it through the loop that is on your hook to do a yarn over. I'll draw one more picture of what that looks like mid-process, and then we'll do it. So here we go. I have drawn that slip knot, hangs down. The yarn comes over the back side of the hook and gets stuck in the hook, gets caught there. And by pulling this yarn over through the loop that is on your hook, that creates a chain. This yarn over now becomes the new loop on your hook, and you can keep going. Let's take a look at it in real life. So the very first thing we need to do to get something on our hook, remember, anatomy of a hook. The hook itself, the workspace, and the thumb divot. And I can hold it this way, or I can hold it this way. Either way, my thumb is on that thumb divot. You do whichever one is more comfortable for you. I find on top is better for muscling through stuff, and I find on the bottom, for me personally, it's more comfortable. Either one's fine. Before we get started though, we need to make a slip knot. There are a million ways to make a slip knot. Here's the one that I teach in all of my classes. I'm going to hold the tail. Doesn't need to be hugely long, but long enough I can put it on a needle, a blunt-eyed, big-eyed needle, blunt-tipped. I can hold it down there later, thread it through, and sew it in. So I'm going to drape it over my hand so that the tail is facing me. And I'm going to grab the back side, which goes to the ball over there, and I'm going to wrap it all the way around my hand and over towards the back of my hand and stop. Then I'm going to duck it under the loop that is already created on the back of my hand, pinch it, take my left hand out, the hand that was wrapping around that whole time, and I'm just going to pull on the tail. That makes a loop that I can slip bigger or smaller by pulling on one of the ends here. And if I need to, pull on both ends, magic! It comes apart completely. So, again, tail is in front, grab the back, wrap around all of my fingers and over to the back of my hand where I'm going to stop so I can push it under the loop that's on the back of my hand, pinch it, take my other hand out, pull on the tail. This big loop is going to go on that workspace, and pulling on my tail is not going to snug it up, so I'm going to try pulling on what goes to the ball band. I say snug and not tight, because the tighter things are, the harder they are to work. If anything, you should see a little bit of daylight. It's kind of like an upside down teardrop there. So again, I keep this facing me for 90% of what I do here so I can see what's going on. Now, as I did in the drawing, the way to do a chain, get my vocab right, is to yarn over means over the back of the hook towards you. Over the back. This is not a yarn over. That's a yarn under and up. Yarn over and down. Now this, what I've just caught in the hook, needs to go through that. So we need to hold some tension and pull on some things. Because guess what? If I keep pulling, look what happens. No. Okay. It puts you right back where you started and everything's flippy floppy and nothing happened. So this has to go over, but the knot needs to stay below. Any work you do, you really want to keep below your hook. It's going to help things from getting out of control. So you can take a finger from your right hand. If you're on top like this, a first finger will do it. If you're going from underneath, a middle finger is probably there to keep that from flipping around. Fantastic. Okay. However, if I pull this over and then just try to use the hook to pull this through that, nothing happens. Absolutely nothing happens. The left hand actually has a lot of work to do in crochet. both hands have a lot of work to do. This is why, even though I'm left-handed, I don't mind holding the hook in my right hand because I'm actually doing a lot of stuff with my left hand. I liken it to playing piano. Just because you're left-handed doesn't mean you're better at the bass section or the rhythm section down there. And just because you're right-handed doesn't mean this is better. Everything works together. So essentially, this hand has the job of holding tension and grabbing this to move stuff. And that can be kind of tricky. So what I find is you want the yarn to be behind these two fingers, because these two fingers and this thumb are the ones that are going to do a lot of the work. You're either going to have your first finger and your thumb grab here, and your middle finger gets to hold tension, or your middle finger and your thumb can hold here, and your first finger can hold tension. Notice I did a funky grab thing. I actually do a weird twisty thing to make this work. But if I'm holding with my first finger and I'm grabbing that knot with my middle finger and my thumb, I can pull the loop, the strand I caught in the hook, through the loop and settle it back. And then I've done a chain. Now a chain has a V looking thing on the front and a weird bumpy thing on the back, which you might not even be able to see right now. It's more prominent as we go. I find to keep your chain straight, you want those V's to always be facing you. So I'm going to go over tension again in a second. But I move my finger all the way up. So now I'm holding first finger and thumb. Tension's being held with my middle finger. Yarn over the hook. Pull it through and settle back. Now there's a couple of things that can happen here. One is that if you yarn over and you're pulling really tight and you keep that hook facing you, everything gets jammed. Totally jammed. Remember, when in doubt, settle back. Settle back on the workspace with this loop. Catch the yarn over in your hook, and as you're coming, guess what? Your right hand can do some work. It can pivot to fit through that upside down teardrop to pull it through and settle back. Yarn over, pull through, settle back. My rule of thumb in crochet is you are done with a stitch when you have one loop on the hook. So when we're here, we are not done. And I also grab right underneath. These two loops are connected, so the harder I pull on this one, the more this one's going to get tight. But if I pinch it right down here, I can pull as hard as I want over here, and he's hopefully going to stay the same size. So when in doubt, again, put it on the workspace, grab, wiggle, make it a little bigger so I can pull him through and settle him back. Now let's go over how to put tension. Get this funky thing that I just did, tension, on your hand so you have control. You have the three fingers, thumb, two fingers, underneath the yarn the way you want to have control. I learned from a CD-ROM from Joanne's long before YouTube. So let me see if I can show you. I find when I teach this, everybody comes up with their own way to hold it. They either like what I show them or they think it's crazy and they do their own thing. Here's how I do it. Put my hand palm up. I put the yarn between my pinky and my ring finger. I start really close to the hook. I wrap around the pinky and back, so I'm in position A again. But I have wrapped around my pinky. Then I am going to go over my ring finger and down. And I'm going to keep pulling to the left. Hi, Avi. Yes, I'm filming. I see you want to help. I don't want you to help. I pull over, and then I can flip my hand over and do what I want with it. This is what it looks like. Here's the cool thing about it, is if I keep my fingers together, yes, hi Avi. If I keep my fingers together, no yarn's coming out. If I need more yarn, open my fingers and more comes out. And now I'm really far away to do anything, so I have to reset. So again, palm up, put the yarn between the pinky and the ring finger, wrap all the way around the pinky, over the ring finger and down and back behind. Keep pulling over to the left. Behind. Remember, these fingers are free. 1, 2, 3. The yarn's behind them. So if I flip it up, I have options of grabbing with my middle finger and my thumb, and my first finger is out back, or grabbing with my first finger and my thumb and my middle finger is out back, holding tension. To yarn over, pull through and settle back. This is a chain. There's the cat again. Yarn over, pull through and settle back. And you can chain as many as you need to start. Now, as I was saying before, you have V's going down the front, but they're a little lopsided. And you have bumps on the back. When I count them, I may put a drawing in here too. When I count them, I pick a side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've made 7. I'm not going to count what's up on my hook. And you keep that process going until you have enough chains to start your project. So as I was mentioning when I was physically doing the chain, it looks like you've got a V on the front for every one you do. However, they can overlap in kind of a funny way. So a knit stitch tends to have a V, if I can draw right, that comes to a point where each side is pretty equal. But this one doesn't. This one, we've got one side that sinks down lower than the other. It can make it really hard to count. So I recommend picking a side. I'll pick this side, and I'm going to start down where our slip knot was. And I'm going to count the bumps on the side. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't count that one. That does not count for my total stitch count of how many stitches I have made. It's only these outside humps of the V's. So I've made 4 in this drawing. Thanks for sticking with me, learning how to make a slip knot and make a chain when you're first starting to crochet. If you're local, I highly recommend coming into the shop for a beginner's lesson. We can show you a ton of stuff. We can help guide you. We can say, that's working, this isn't. Here's why it's not going as well as you'd like to. Or say, yes, you're doing an amazing job. Let's go on to the next step. My beginning lessons, which are on Saturday mornings, include chaining, single crochet, and double crochet. And I do those every other morning, every other Saturday. Blah. Because I like to alternate between knit and crochet because I find them equally valuable and pretty awesome. So please subscribe if you want to be alerted to when I make my single crochet video. Please share this. Please comment and let me know what you want to learn about. And I would just love to keep the conversation going about crafting because I absolutely do love both knit and crochet. I think they're wonderful. And I wish you much joy in your crafting enterprises and a whole lot of confidence as you move forward. See you later. Both come into the same spot, so you can easily see which one is. Yes, cat?